Right then, we finished pre-season in the way we started by not winning a single match. The instant match reaction's coming up to a disappointing result against Atletico Madrid. So if you want to, make sure you stick around. Right, it's full time at St James's Park, and that pretty much sums up our summer from start to finish. We haven't won a game this pre-season, and look, I don't look into these too much. Yes, I might have gone across the world to watch them, but I see pre-season as a great chance for Eddie Howe to experiment, but also get the fitness up, play against some great opposition, and that's exactly what Atletico Madrid were. Look, let's talk about the main factor here before we get into the first half and the second half. This transfer window has just been summed up in a match. And what I love about pre-season games is there are so many kids who will never get a chance all season to go. You see the Tonali shirts, the Gordons, running around, loving life with the chips in their hand. Even them who do not have the brains capable of understanding football can see that it is so obvious that what is wrong in these games, especially when you've got two teams in 2 days, is the lack of transfer window that we've had. Lewis Hall playing on Friday night against Espanyol in midfield. Ashby, who's been loaned out for 2 seasons in a row, playing in midfield today. Our strikers, our lack of cutting edge. Asula hasn't really set the world alight in pre-season. Anthony Gordon, who I do not like playing there at all, again, just lacking something. You want him on the wing running the plays. You want him getting crosses in. You want him going to the byline. It's never going to work. And Eddie Howe must be absolutely at the end of his tether. Atletico Madrid in the second half were able to make 8-9 changes, and some of the players that they were able to rotate are exactly why they are a Champions League team and one of the best teams in La Liga. But again, that goes back to me saying it was great opposition. So look, on to the first half. I think we had most of the ball. We were bright. We were really good. We just didn't have that cutting edge. We really didn't. I thought a couple of Ashby in midfield. Look, he did a couple of nice flicks, a couple of nice turns, but just a fish out of water, a massive fish out of water. It's a right back playing in midfield, and it just doesn't work. And Lewis Hall, look, he was more comfortable there on Friday, so I'm told, 'cause I wasn't actually watching the game, but it just really doesn't work. Through the middle, Anthony Gordon. I thought Harvey Barnes looked really bright in the first half, but again, we're just not creating chances. We're passing the ball around, we're moving it. Atletico Madrid didn't really get much of it, but they were getting in behind easy. They were getting in behind really easy. Sven Botman, he came off in the second half. In the first half, it was great to see him play, and that's what we need to be talking about with these matches. Sven Botman getting minutes after his scare over in Singapore. He's moving and he's looking okay. Jamal Lascelles, I'm his biggest fan, wanting him to have a good season this year and give himself as an option. Kieran Trippier against his old side, reliable as ever. And we did have chances. Joelinton, Tonali, comfortable in midfield. Tonali, you would imagine the pair of them, especially Tonali, the quality of player he is pissed off. Of course he's pissed off. He's moving around against a Champions League pedigree side in Atletico Madrid, annoyed that we don't have better players around him, that he is playing against Ashby, no disrespect to him. But he looked good. He did. Joelinton came close, couple of headers. Kieran Trippier with a free kick. That was written on the wall that he would score against his old team, but it wasn't meant to be. And then first half, that comes to an end. They get in behind a couple of times, but don't make the most of it. Nick Pope is going to continue now to be compared to Aaron Ramsdale, and that really bugs me. It really does. I think Ramsdale, as much as I didn't watch the game on Friday night, he is much better with his feet. We know he is. He saved a penalty. But Nick Pope, what he's done for this football club in 3 years, in my opinion, has been forgotten about because of a couple of pre-season frenzies. In the second half, Nick Pope made a really good save from quite quick and close range. So on to the second half, Newcastle don't have the subs to make. I didn't expect there to be. There was a couple here and there. And Atletico Madrid make, 7, 8, 9. That was always going to affect the game. But our intensity dropped off. And Dan Burns said after the cup final that Newcastle United, for the cup final, really worked on up in that second half intensity. I hope that's not a precedent of what to come against Aston Villa, because it is just a pre-season game. But we need to go into the second half of matches in exactly the same way and start it the same way. They had much more of the ball. They were getting in behind easy. And the 2 goals were quite sloppy. Early one, that killed us a little bit. Second one, obviously Murphy comes on at centre-back. I've been a big fan of Murphy at left-back, despite him scoring the own goal against us. I think he was a bright spark. I do think he's got a future at this football club, fingers crossed. But again, we 2-0 down. Again, at that point, yes, the Cellar Cup is nice to win, and we've never lost one so far. It's our cup on our stadium. But that's far from your thoughts. You're thinking about Isaac, you're thinking about all the things we're missing. And it's just about seeing the game out. We didn't really create much in the second half at all. Anthony Elanga, let's talk about him. First half, I thought he was really bright. He showed his pace. He got us excited. He can run past a man and just keep on running. It's great to see, because we don't have that in abundance really in this team. but I think he's still learning Newcastle. And my controversial opinion is that Anthony Elanga was signed by Eddie Howe when he was signed in the hope that we would have a lot of other players coming into the club to change formations, to give us something to drive us up the pitch and switch things up. That hasn't happened, and Anthony Elanga is going to have to learn this team, because you can tell he's not suited to possession. He wants to be on the last man. And yes, with the likes of Bruno and Tonali, he can be, but I think he likes the ball at his feet. He likes to be bursting forward, and that's going to take a lot of work. And would I be surprised if Jacob Murphy, who scored last night, starts against Aston Villa? No, not at all. I would probably put a bit of money on that Jacob Murphy might start against Aston Villa. So he dropped off in the second half. A couple of loose touches, but again, I'm not looking into stuff like that too much. Anthony Gordon, I talked about him, went off injured in the second half. That's a worry, but he did walk off okay. So I'm hoping not to read anything as soon as I finish recording this video that he's out, because that would just be the nail in the coffin with Joe Willock injured as well, and Alexander Isak refusing to do what he wants to do and actually contribute to a team that's paying his wages on a 3-year fucking contract. It fizzled out. It did. You know, Atletico Madrid win the trophy in our stadium. Is anyone going to lose over any sleep over that? No, I would have been making a jokey video pretending to celebrate Carabao Cup style. But Aston Villa next week is a different kettle of fish. These two matches in 2 days are a mix of two groups of players that will be gelled together to start. You'd expect Bruno, of course. You'd expect them to be coming in with Tonali and Joe Linton. Of course you will. Barnes might come in, Murphy might come in, so it's going to be a mix of the two sides. But Alexander Isak is tarnishing everything, and that group of players walking around saying thanks to the fans, I just felt a weird atmosphere within them. They're fed up, we're fed up, Eddie Howe's fed up. We need players in, and the biggest thing today, with who was starting in midfield across the two matches and who we were able to bring on, just sums up a transfer window that hasn't been the one for trying at all. But Alexander Isak, not that you'd ever be watching this, just sort it out. You've gone about this the wrong way, and in my opinion, you've tarnished what has been an amazing legacy at this football club by allowing this team to go on potentially into the new season without a striker. Things need to happen quickly, but that Aston Villa game with a starting lineup without a striker is going to be difficult. It's a great team on paper. Your Botmans, your Shares, your Burns, your Brunos, your Tonalis, but without a striker, we don't have that outlet. And no cutting edge has been the crying thing from these two matches. Newcastle fans, that's my initial thoughts. Get down, get Black and White Banter across all social media. And as always, drop us a follow and get Black and White Banter on here. Let us know your thoughts, because there's going to be plenty content to come. Now I'm back in the country, once I've had a good sleep, and I'm back in my studio before Aston Villa next week. Keep the faith if you can after a very difficult summer that might only get more difficult. But I'll tell you one thing other clubs don't have is a fan base like ours that can unite as one and pull us through. And that's what's needed now more than ever. Keep the faith. Oh, yeah!